What's going on? Vincent Rapisardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com. So you can follow me on Telegram. I'm on Telegram, Big Blue Unbiased on Telegram, and on Instagram as well, Big Blue Unbiased. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I know a lot of people have asked. Not on Twitter, done with Twitter, moved on. Just so much meaningless conversation on Twitter. I'm done with it. So Telegram, Instagram, and obviously YouTube, you can find me. So let's talk about the Giants salary cap situation. I want to get into that. I also want to talk about some free agents that I think that they should look at. Give a look, maybe add to their roster during this free agent period. So let's start with their salary cap situation. They have agreed to a contract extension with Leonard Williams. That's big. His cap hit for this upcoming season, only $11 million. I like this contract a lot. I do. I think, obviously, the cap hit this season is outstanding for them. Just $11 million for a player who had 11.5 sacks last season as an interior guy. He's a true defensive lineman. Over 40 pressures, 30-plus quarterback hits. He had an outstanding season. He played very, very well. Very important part to their defense. $11 million cap hit this season. And a 3-year deal, you're getting him in the prime of his career. 27, 28, 29 years old. They've done that, obviously, the 3-year deal with Bradbury Martinez last offseason. Now they do it with Leonard Williams. And, again, that cap hit for this season was huge. Getting the contract extension done was huge for the Giants. You look at Nate Solder. They're going to save $6 million in cap space with their reworked contract with Solder. I know a lot of people don't love Nate Solder. I get it. I understand. We really don't know what kind of player he is right now, considering he missed an entire year. But let's just say he is the player he was in 2019. He had an average pass block win rate among offensive tackles. He wasn't as bad as people thought. He didn't play as bad as many thought that he did. Obviously, the pressures and quarterback hits were, the sacks that he allowed were high. But that had a lot to do with Daniel Jones, too, being a rookie and holding onto the football a long time, and his pocket presence and awareness not being there. So let's just say Nate Solder's, at this point, missing an entire year of football. Let's just say he's slightly below average offensive tackle. For a guy that you save that much money on, I believe his salary, according to Dan Duggan, is supposed to be around $4 million. Not too bad. Not too bad. Give you time at left tackle or right tackle if you need him. Maybe he starts the season at right tackle and Matt Parrott eventually gets that job. I don't know. We'll see. But he's a veteran player that you can trust to start, and he'll be fine. I know some may disagree with that because they expected Nate Solder to be this great left tackle for the Giants, so those were the expectations. But at the end of the day, he's a fun offensive tackle. You can win games with him. Okay, he wasn't the reason that they were losing games in 2019. Okay, it was because they had a rookie quarterback making a lot of mistakes and their defense was terrible. So he's fine. He's a fine player, and they rework his deal. $6 million, they saved $6 million in cap space. That's big. So over the last few days, they've really done a nice job of creating more cap space and putting themselves in a good spot. Maybe for Kenny Golladay, but at least maybe to add another few pieces that could help them. Maybe a couple of starters. So we'll talk about that. The edge rushing situation for the Giants. Personally, I think they would be fine. If Zimenez and Carter, if they're healthy, I think they'd be fine with those guys. I think those are really good football players. I think they're going to be really good football players. Carter really started to play well. That preseason, that scrimmage game that he had beginning of the year, he almost played like 100% of snaps, and then he got hurt. So they were trusting him to play, obviously, to take on a high workload and kind of be a legitimate starter on their defense. They were fine with that. And a lot of people were impressed with him. Then he got hurt. Zimenez got hurt as well. He played well at the end of his rookie season, and he actually put together a decent amount of pressures before he got hurt in kind of a limited sample size as well. But he obviously was injured last year, and you didn't really get to see a full season of a player who I thought really was going to break out. Personally, I would be fine with those two starting on the edge. I would be fine if I were the Giants, but I understand that a lot of people still want them to go out and sign a veteran edge rusher, at least as a depth piece. That's what they've done in the past few offseasons as well. Fackrell last season, Golden the year before. Probably going to happen again, right? Probably, I'm going to assume, probably going to happen again. Kyle Van Noy's been a name that people have talked about as, oh, they should go out and sign Kyle Van Noy. Yeah, decent. Had about 10 quarterback hits, 6 sacks last year for Miami. Obviously was released. 18 quarterback pressures, played about 78% of snaps. Okay, he's an okay player. If you're signing him on a 1-year deal, let's say, a Fackrell type deal or a Marcus Golden type deal like they have the past few off seasons, that's fine. I understand that. Hassan Reddick, his first 3 NFL seasons really didn't do much. It was kind of like, is this guy really worth a first-round pick? Last year he had a great season, 12.5 sacks. He had 34 pressures, 18 quarterback hits. He played really well, or 16 quarterback hits. He played really well. But I think there are also some teams that are like, should we go out and really give him big money or, you know, a legitimate contract after 1 good season and 3 subpar seasons, his first 3 seasons in the NFL. So maybe that's a guy who they could get on the cheap. And I'm not saying cheap like, oh, a couple $1 million, but maybe that's somebody where they can get him kind of on a discount because teams don't want to go all in after 1 good season and give him a big contract. So that's another target to potentially look out for. Another guy is Xavier Rhodes. So this was someone last offseason I mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned it in a video, but I know I put it out on Twitter that I thought the Giants should have taken a look at. Veteran player. Had a bad year with Minnesota in 2019, but last year he was excellent. Completion percentage over expectation allowed was the best among cornerbacks, qualifying cornerbacks. He was really good. Passer rating of 84 allowed. And he signed a 1-year, $3 million deal with Indy last season. He'll be 31 this upcoming season, so I doubt he's going to get big money. He's still out there. He would be a great addition for the Giants opposite James Bradbury. I'm going to guess still he's probably going to be a cheap option. Maybe he'll get paid a little bit more than last season. But considering his age, I think that he's a legitimate option for the Giants. I don't think he would be out of their price range. At the end of the day, I think the Giants are good on defense. I think that adding a Rhodes or a Reddick or a Van Noy, kind of a plus at this point. You could always use depth. But their defense is good. And they piece things together with a lot of unproven players last year or younger players. Or they weren't expected to be a great defense, but they really performed very, very well. So I really think that the Giants, their high-end priorities, their big money contracts or their big draft picks at this point should be towards getting Daniel Jones a playmaker or on the offensive side of the football. Whether that is a Kenny Golladay, signing Kenny Golladay to a big contract, or if that's using a high draft pick on a wide receiver if they can't get a player like Kenny Golladay. You have to make sure, the Giants have to make sure that they come away from this offseason with a legitimate playmaker, like a legitimate wide receiver 1 kind of player for Daniel Jones. They need to do that. Truly believe that. So that's all I got. That's all I got for this episode. And that's basically it. Not too much happened today, but I'm sure things will heat up.